Hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar. So let's wait just 30 seconds and we will be ready to start. Well, let me share some information with you. During this webinar, anytime you have questions, so feel free to share them and we will have a full conversation, right? So it's an informal conversation about the topic. It's a very interesting topic. I'm sure I'm going to tell you more about that. Hello, Gaurav, Roberta, welcome. Okay. All right, it's time to start. Well, again, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to our webinar. So today we have a topic that is quite interesting, I could say, because uh, we will talk about Agile for PMOs, but possibly in a very different way that the usual, right? The way that you are very used to hear about this topic. So I will bring some ideas for you, and I would like to get your feedback. How do you see these things, these ideas? Because all of them will be part of something quite new that PMOGA will release by the end of the year at our World Conference that will be held in Paris from 4 to 6 of December. So there will be a book, there will be a new framework, many new things that are a result of a research project that started like 3 years and a half ago. So just after uh, the release of the PMO value ring methodology that some of you know, we started a new project to improve that idea, to expand that idea, and many interesting things came up, and now we have the final consolidation of all of these ideas. I'm sure that you will like it. So let me share my screen with you. Just a moment. No, just 1 second. Okay. Now it's okay. Share screen. All right. I believe you can see my screen. Just 1 second, please. But I have three different screens here, but it looks like things are not in the correct ones. Just 1 second, and I will arrange this. Okay, this one, it's here. Okay, now I think it's okay. So again, okay, can you see my screen? Yes? Good, I think so. We have more people now. Jackie, hello Jackie. Maya, Cecilia, hi Cecilia. Mr. Katai, hello, nice to see you. Olga, Porfirio. Okay, my friends, so let's start. This session, I've just presented it at uh, at a conference in Saudi Arabia a few days ago. So I had a session and a master class. So during the session, I presented this short discussion. So that's exactly what I want to do with you today. It will be a short presentation, and after that, we can have some discussion. You can ask questions. You can share your thoughts and impressions. Okay. So as I told you, it came from a research project that we are closing this month, and most of you that had contact with our PMO value ring methodology, you should remember something about the criticism that we have in terms of types of PMOs. And why? Because we understand that you don't need to choose a type of PMO. In fact, you can take what you need from different types of PMOs. For example, strategic PMO, supportive PMO, value management office. You don't need to take one of them. You can just take what you need from each one. And at the end of the day, you have your PMO that makes sense for you, for your needs, for the needs of your customers. So this is something very strong in the PMO value ring methodology because we understand, based on our research and tests and experience, we understand that this is the only way to generate perception of value. Okay, so we have to understand our customers' needs. We have to configure, to set up our PMO in terms of services and functions to deliver that value expected by our customers. So this is the basic idea behind that. When we talk about Agile PMO, you know that there are many books, articles in the last years that propose a kind of Agile PMO, right? So uh, it would be like a type of PMO, a new type, maybe the ideal type, because every PMO should be agile. So especially those people that defend agility, and I like agility a lot. I use in my daily work, but many people started to maybe misunderstand or misconcept the idea of an agile PMO in many different ways, and that's exactly what I will show you right now. Okay, so beyond the hype, unveiling the true essence of an agile PMO. What I'm going to try to do is I will show you that agile PMOs make sense. So they are not a type of PMO in a way that we criticize in the last years, because it looks like we have to take one and follow it as an ideal solution. But I'm going to show you what Agile PMO means to us, and you will tell me if it makes sense or not. Okay? So let's start. This is only some information about PMOJ, but that's not our focus. Just to remind you about that. Okay, and let's go to the most important thing. This is the basic question. What's an agile PMO, right? Well, many people believe, and we can read this idea in articles, books, that an agile PMO is the PMO that provide to their customers, their stakeholders, some kind of agile method. So an agile PMO should be directly connected with the idea of providing agility to the customers, to the PMO customers, right? So I'm talking about project managers, anyone that would use an agile methodology, for example. So for those that remember or know about our methodology, you should remember that we have different functions, services, right? And these services they are 26 in our original methodology, and there are some of them where agility makes sense. For example, provide methodology. and standards. Okay, I can provide an agile methodology. Very good. The point is, these services, we can provide them in many different ways. And that's most of the criticism about this approach of an agile PMO because it looks like everyone should use agile methodologies, right? And you can take what you want. You can try, I don't know, Scrum, XP, there are many of them. You can try what you want. But after a lot of discussions with great experienced leaders and also some experts on agile, we realized that it's possible to have a PMO, an agile PMO, that doesn't provide agile methodologies. It looks a little crazy, right? So I'm telling you that, okay, we are an agile PMO, and the methodology that we provide is based on a waterfall approach, right? Does it make sense? Does it is it something possible? Right? That's the question. We realize that yes, it makes a lot of sense. And why? Because actually, when we talk about agile PMOs, we are not talking about our customers. We are talking about the PMO by itself. And why? Because we defend that PMOs are service providers, right? Service providers. And when you are a service provider, you have customers, you have to understand them, to provide them value, something that they can realize how valuable you are, right? And as customers, their needs will change from time to time. And if you are a good service provider, you should adapt because they will mature. And from time to time, you have to meet some different expectations, some different need, some different pain. So it means that you are living in an adaptive world, right? It's not a predictive word. It's totally adaptive. You should adapt all time. You should be very flexible because your customers, and I'm talking about top executives, project managers, functional managers, what they need from you will be different. From time to time, you have to readapt, rethink your PMO. So it's a very, very strong adaptive word. So what I'm saying is any service provider, it can be the PMO or a regular service provider that will invoice a client, right? But anyone lives exactly in the same word. It's a word where you should have customer centricity, you should be adaptable, you should be oriented to value, and value means what your customers understand as value. You should improve what you are doing, your services. You should collaborate and communicate strongly with your customers. Otherwise, they will not feel that you are a partner and they will not realize possibly the value that you are generating because you should show some value too. Sometimes it's not only letting them see what you are doing. And finally, pragmatism, because we need to generate perception of value. It's not about the technique, it's about result, it's about value, right? So we should be pragmatic. So all of these six topics that I mentioned here, they came not from any kind of PMO material or book. No, no, no. It came from the customer service field, right, of knowledge. But as you can see, if you work at a PMO, this is your life, or it should be, right? Okay, what about agile methodologies? Well, I could tell you that these principles here, they are what we usually call business agility principles, right? We are not talking about the methodology. We are talking about being agile as an organization. So it can be the organization as a whole, but it can be a specific department, for example, and that's what the PMO is. The PMO is a service provider. All this environment makes a lot of sense in terms of ensuring that the PMO see itself as organizational entity that is supported by an agility approach, business agility approach, right? So that's the idea. So I'm talking about a PMO, not about the customers. So what I'm saying is all business agility principles will fit perfectly any PMO because that's your life. So if you ask me, Americo, is it possible to have a PMO that is not agile? I'm going to ask you this question again at the end, right? Think about that. But let's continue. So I told you that it's possible for a PMO, an agile PMO, that this area is not providing any kind of agile methodology. And why? Because let's suppose that you work at a company, right? And this company, all their projects are very, very predictive, right? So we know that when we talk about waterfall, many people say traditional, it looks like old fashioned, but that's not the matter. Waterfall makes sense for some types of projects, while agile makes sense to other types of projects. So what I'm saying is you can be an agile PMO providing only agile methodologies, but you can be a agile PMO providing methodologies in a hybrid approach, or even depending on where you are, you can provide waterfall methodologies, because being agile is not about your customer, it's about you. If all your customers also need all those tools, approaches, and methodologies that we have in the agile world, it will make sense for them. But sometimes, maybe not, or maybe part of them. So it's not about it. So look what I'm saying. If you try to be adaptable, if you are oriented to value, if you are centered on the customer, collaborate, communicate, you are being agile. So you are based on the business agility principles, you are an agile PMO, right? If you are providing agile methodologies or not, this is just a detail depending on what your customers really need. Good. So because the fact that you are providing agile methodologies, does it mean that you have an agile PMO? No, because again, maybe you are providing agile methodologies, and when you believe that everyone should use only agile methodologies, there is no other option, this is the future, this is the best thing in the world. Actually, I'm sorry, but you are not grounded. Your PMO is not based on the business agility principles. And why? Because you believe that there is only one way. It's not adaptability. You know what I mean? So actually, it's a little interesting because we can be agile and we are not providing any agile methodology. And when we are providing that, it doesn't mean that as a PMO you are agile, right? So this is something that we can think about, because at the end of all this discussion during these last years, we realized that yes, every PMO should be agile, but not because every PMO should use agile methodologies. No, no, no. It's just one of the services. You can also provide a lean process in portfolio management, for example. It's okay. You are providing something agile, right? Or lean. It's okay. But it doesn't make you an agile PMO. So this is an interesting discussion. To be honest, I've never seen this approach when we talk about PMOs, because most of the people that propose the idea of an agile PMO, they have some kind of commitment with the methodologies. So I understand that they try to connect these two things. But if we try to think without any commitment, right, or pre-established, pre-established beliefs in terms of something is the best way or not, we can see that every PMO should be agile because every PMO is a service provider. So yes, they have to be agile, but for different reasons, not because they have to provide agile methodologies, but because they have to behave based on business agility principles, right? If you will provide agile methodologies or not, maybe for IT, okay, maybe for engineering, you will try waterfall. So that's it. We see that the most successful PMOs today, we see that at the PMO Global Awards every year. Most of them, the most successful PMOs, they are hybrid. So no problem. There is not only one way. You should adapt, you should be flexible, and you will find the results you need, right? That's the idea. And based on this, should all PMOs be agile? The answer is yes, because as a service provider, there is no PMO that can really survive and thrive without being flexible, focused on the customer, and generating value sometimes over time, so you have quick wins because we are always trying to generate perception of value. That's the idea. So this way, we will generate value for our customers and as a consequence for the organization, right? Okay, so the answer is absolutely, but because of different reasons, maybe, right? And finally, this is something that is where the new framework that will be released very soon is being built. So it's something that will bring ideas from customer service field of knowledge, also customer experience. So there will be many, many new things that will establish a very, very interesting framework that will not be something to be followed as in a way that will give to all of us one best type or one best model of PMOs. We still don't agree and don't believe on that. In fact, this framework will let you find your ideal type of PMO. And remember, your ideal type of PMO today, it doesn't mean that it will be the best way for you tomorrow. Why? Because you have to adapt. You have to be flexible. Your customers will change and their needs will change, their pains will change. So we are always seeking the best PMO possible to, to our organization and to our customers. So this is something quite new, as I said. There will be, in a few weeks, there will be a workshop uh, about that because we are collecting now some additional feedback before the book can be released. But we are very excited because after all these years of experience and great contributions from many people, I believe that we found a way to support, based on the experience, we can support people on creating their own solutions. So they should think. I'm sorry, if you are looking for a magic pill, it doesn't exist. But maybe we can create a way to not guide you, not in terms of telling you what your PMO should be, but to guide you on how you should think, how you should proceed to generate your perfect PMO at that moment, at that time. I believe we are very close to this, and I'm really grateful to everyone that collaborated for that. So this is what we have, there is an article. So if you go to this website, it's the same website that I provided to those people that attended the event in Riyadh, GPMF, Global Project Management Forum. If you go to this website, you can download this article. It's a preliminary article, right? So we created it just to explain some of these concepts. And I would love to have your feedback, right? So if you can keep in touch and provide some feedback about it, it's not the final material, it's a work material because we are still discussing and, as I said, getting feedback. But it will be absolutely great to count on your contributions, and I will be happy to have it. So if you visit this website, you will find this article, Navigating the Road to Value Perception, the Customer-Centric PMO, right? And what else? And that's it. This is my contacts. If you want to share some feedback, it will be very, very great, and I will be grateful with that. Well, my good friends, so let me see here if we have some comments. That's the moment, right? You can say yes, I agree, or no, I hate it. It doesn't make any sense. I will try to convince you that it's not true. But anyway, feel free. Oh, let me see. Agile PMO are agile when they provide a toolkit for their customers to choose their methodology according their organizational context. Agile LIC, right? Let me tell you something about that. This is something new. It's not in this article yet, but it's part of this new material. There is something interesting that we also found after all this work, that is, there are many different ways for PMOs to provide one specific service, right? What I mean is, you are already heard about types of PMOs like supportive PMO, consultative PMO, and strategic PMO. There are many of them. But if you see some of them, they talk about the way that the PMO is working, right? Like supportive, controlling, consultative. And we talk about, when people talk about these ideas, they are discussing them at the level of the PMO. So you are saying that your PMO will be consultative all the time for everything that you are doing, right? And we realize that it makes much more sense if we think about these ideas on the service level and maybe on the customer level. Let me give you an example. Let's take one service. For example, providing. Let me think. Oh, there is one very good, very simple. Providing project management, right? Providing project management. There are many ways to do that. Okay, you can do it, for example, in a consultative way. So it means that for that specific customer, you are just providing some advice, and that customer will decide if he or she wants to use it or not. So you can see that your autonomy as a PMO is not really high because they are not obliged to do what you are saying, right? We can be like supportive. Supportive means that we are not only providing advice, but we are part of the work. Otherwise, we are just supporting them. So the responsibility in terms of decisions is still in the project manager, in the business area. Let's take one more. We could say, there is one interesting. I could say that we have an in-house approach. In-house approach means that you are providing project management, but you are doing it by yourself as a PMO. So the project managers belong to the PMO. You are doing exactly the same thing, but now all the authority belongs to you, right? Does it happen? Yes. There are some companies that they say, no, no, the project manager will not be the guy at the business area. I don't want it. I want that the project manager should be at the PMO. And when we have a project, someone will come, will manage that project, and the business area will be much more like a client. Is it possible? Absolutely. But as you can see, we are talking about exactly the same thing that is being provided in different ways. And look, when I say that it's at the level of the service and sometimes the level of the customer, it means that you don't need to say that your PMO is consultative. No, because maybe in some services you will be consultative, in some services you will be supportive or controlling, right? And there is more. You can say that even for the same service, for this customer that is more mature, for example, your approach will be more consultative for this service. But for this one that is really immature, it will be more, you need more authority, right? And maybe for that area, like commercial sales area, it will be in-house because we don't want to create project managers in the commercial area, so what I'm saying is the way that you will approach will depend on the service and on the customer that you are dealing with, right? So I'm telling you that because your question, look, let me go back here. Where are you? Okay. I found you. You said PMO are agile when they provided a toolkit for their customers to choose their methodology according their organizational contexts. Sometimes not. Sometimes you will do that, especially if your customer is more mature. So this is an approach for methodology. Providing methodology is the service. So for IT area, this is your approach, right? But for other areas, maybe, I don't know, legal area, right? Or accounting, they are not so mature in project management. So maybe instead of waiting them to choose their methodology, and maybe they will not be able to do that because of a lack of maturity, for these people, you will perform in a different way with a different approach where you have more autonomy to say no, this is what you have to use, because the more mature customer is like an adult and this other customer is like a baby. You have to feed him, and and you should keep him alive, right, while you are maturing this customer. Can you understand what I'm saying? So this is something that we realized also during our recent research. Marcella, hello, Marcella. Marcella, I'm sorry again. Yeah, I today I had a meeting with Marcella, but another meeting prevented me to attend her meeting, and wow, it was a big confusion. Sorry about that, Marcella. So you said you touched up on this concept in project management next generation. Yes, when you say, if you believe that the current success of your PMO is enough to ensure that it will continue. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Now, these ideas are more, I could say, more consolidated and mature. So things are clear, but this is something that we have been saying that in the last 5 years, but now I think we can see that clearly, so yeah, absolutely, you're correct. Okay, to exist for years to come, then understand that this is the first step. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. What else? Yes, Marcel. Yes, agree. Amit, Cecilia, very good, Cecilia. Cecilia said, strongly believe in the concept that Agile PMO can be one following different methodologies, waterfall, Agile, or hybrid. Thanks for calling. Yeah, Cecilia, absolutely. This is the point. What you are providing to your customer, depending on what they need, right? But the way that you behave as a service provider, that's what makes you agile or not. That's it. Maybe for your all projects as a PMO, make a lot of sense that you can use agile methodologies, but by yourself, right? About your customers, it depends. We have to understand them first, right? LinkedIn user, I don't know, possibly we are not connected. That's why I can't see who you are. The primary customer is those that believe and pay the overhead costs and who determine how it should be set up and charged back. Yes, perception of value, right? If those that are paying the bill can't see value on what you are doing, you have problems. Absolutely. At least in the medium long term. Hey, Porfirio, nice to see you. I think we should keep the concept and meaning of the PMO simple to organizations. Adding adjectives like Agile PMO might cause more confusion than help. Today is Agile and tomorrow is another new practice. Organizations don't care the name of the PMO. They care about how the PMO contributes to business results. I fully agree with you, Porfirio, in the way that actually these discussions, they are not for our customers, right? What they want is results. What they want is that we can heal their pains. We don't need to do that selling magic pills, nice names, right? And we don't need that. But there is something very important behind it. I believe that for a few years, a lot of people, because of a lack of understanding, misconception, they start to believe that PMOs and agility, they are enemies, right? There are some people that try to do that with prophecies saying that PMOs will be over in agile world. They doesn't make sense. And this kind of statement doesn't make sense, right? Actually, PMOs and agility, they are really connected. So the point is, your PMO, and that's the lesson learned, right? Your PMO can take a lot of great. So as a PMO, when you understand business agility, it can make your PMO much better as a service provider. So it's for the PMO, not for the customer. The customer will see the result of this, right? So this is an important understanding, right? And again, if you will provide agile methodologies or not, it's just a detail, right? But the PMO, no doubt, should be strongly grounded on business agility. It makes a lot of sense. But of course, again, this is a technical discussion. Our customers, they don't care, right? And if you try to explain too much, sometimes, you just lose support because they don't care. What they want is result. So I agree with you. We have to focus on our customer, understand what they need, be flexible, adapt, and this way you will be agile anyway, right? What else? Okay, else money. So nice discussion. Also, yes, of risk and PMO and the PMO. Yes, else money. We have a small group that is working a little more with the idea of risk management, enterprise risk management. I believe that there is something that we can bring to this discussion on PMOs. I agree with you. Also, Agile is a mindset more than a methodology. If you or any group can pivot to the needs of the organizations who want last. Absolutely. That's the point. And that's the misconception, because being an Agile PMO is being grounded on a mindset as a PMO. It's not about providing Agile methodologies, right? I have a couple of books here in my library. That's what they say is, okay, are you an Agile PMO? All right, you should provide an Agile methodology. And that's how you should do that. This is a misconception. I believe in that today very clearly, right? For those that know me for a long time, you know that I've never talked about agility in the last years. And why? because I was maturing this topic, right? I was maturing this topic. And now I think it's time for us, for PMOGA, and also for me to speak more about that. But again, calling the attention of everyone on what is really important in agility when we are talking about PMOs. It's not to tell you that there is a agile PMO that is a model that should everyone should follow because every PMO should provide agile methodologies. No, no, no. What we are saying is, as a service provider, business agility will be very, very important for you. Agile mindset. That's it, right? Yes, yes, Hajar, you are right. Yeah, it depends on the maturity level, absolutely. When will the book you presented be released? It will be during our conference in December in Paris. If you want to know more, you can go to this website, www.pmouncon.org. I've just sent it to all of you, pmouncon.org. So the book will be released at that. Also, the new framework and many new things will come up. Hajar, the fact that PMOs are changing make them agile, or the fact that changes are part of any PMO because you should adapt all the time, you should be agile, right? So if you want to be prepared to deal with that, right? Make them agile looks like just because there are changes, the PMOs are agile in terms of mindset. And it's not true. There are many PMOs, I know a couple of them, that they work much more focused on themselves, on the technique, than on that approach of customer centricity. That's the point, you know. What else? Amit. Hi, Americo. I'm working as a PMO manager in legal IT firm. There is no PMO function. Could you please help to advise what will be the initial steps to set up a strong PMO function at program level in an agile way? Amit, let me tell you something. There is an interesting discussion that we have with people that get certified with us, but is the PMOCC certification, the certified consultant. This discussion is about the moment that your organization is living, you know, so where you are at this moment in your organization. And we have some stages, right? And each organization, sometimes each department, they are in different moments. For example, I'm going to share with you some of them. The first one we call Greenfield. A greenfield is really beautiful, you know, everything is green and it looks that there is a big potential to seed something, right? But the point is, if you try to seed in a greenfield, possibly you will have nothing at the end. And why? Because the land is not prepared. In other words, there is no maturity. And when you don't have at least some level of maturity, you need something. At least the land should be prepared. If you try to seed the PMO, it will not thrive. It will not flourish, right? So there is a second moment. And the second moment is, okay, now we have a minimum level of maturity, especially among the top executives. So this is the time. This is the best time to sell the idea, right? So there is not only a potential, but things are prepared to be started. Good. If we go to the end of these stages, for example, there is the two last stages. They are the first one we call Scorched Earth. So it's a place totally destroyed. What does it mean? It's that place that they had a PMO, it failed, And now people hate the idea of a PMO because they said, no, it doesn't work. It was a bad experience. So there are a lot of traumas, a lot of traumas. Is it the best moment to come with the new idea of maybe a new PMO better implemented that can really work? Definitely not. And why? Because, everything is destroyed. So again, like when you had a greenfield, you need to prepare the land again. You cannot seed there. And the last one we call rebirth. And why? Because rebirth is like, okay, I'm seeding again. Sorry, I'm seeding again, but it's a different situation because there are traumas. So that's why many companies, when they try again, they change the name of the PMO. Oh, we cannot call them PMO. We should find another name, right? And why? Because you have with you a lot of experiences, bad experiences of your past. And of course, it makes things more difficult. So what I'm telling you, the first point is to understand where you are in this timeline, right? If you have a greenfield, and I believe you have, it's great. But first of all, before selling the idea, you have to prepare those that will buy the idea to see at least some value on what you are offering. And when the maturity is too low, they just can't see that, so they will not feel really excited with what you are offering. So that's a good point to consider, right? Hello, Akbar. Yes, I agree. Uh, Abdullah Saad said, what is the difference between the types of agile methodologies? Actually, there are many of them, right? I mentioned Scrum. We have many other approaches. I'm not the right person to tell you the differences about them. I know, but I'm not the expert on this matter, right? But in our discussion, it doesn't matter because what really matters is, okay, I know who my customer is. I understand his pains, his needs, his challenges, and I concluded, I realized that the best medicine to heal him, the best solution is an agile methodology. And now I will decide which one. There are many different types, many different approaches. It depends on what you need. Is it IT area? Is it people that are maybe developing software? So there are many of them. So there is no right and wrong one. There is something that can fit your needs or not, right? So this is something very, very, very important, because I usually say that if you have in the same sentence 3 words, PMO, right? PMO, always and never. If you find a sentence with 3 of this, it can be PMO and always, PMO and never, or PMO must. It's not the right path, right? Because there are many different approaches, and there is nothing that can prove that there is the best one. It depends on where you are, the level of maturity, the needs, and that's why I said that framework will help you, like the PMO value ring, will help you to think, to create your solution, your all PMO, depending on the needs you have, right? Cesar said, this is the main concept of VMO, Value Management Office. Cesar, uh, not exactly. I agree with you in terms of business agility. You are right. But VMO brings something that we don't defend in our community, in our work. That is the idea that there is a set of things, of functions, or services that a PMO should provide. The, the best PMO should do that, right? So actually, This is exactly the point, because when you do that, it's like if you have a box full of the best medicines, but you don't know the real pains at this moment. Unless you believe that the pains of every customer, every company will be always the same, I don't believe in that. Types of PMOs doesn't make sense because of that. They don't make sense, right? And so VMO, I believe that there is many things that connect with what we are saying today or what we are discussing here, right? But the problem is the way that it was, like was formatted, right? Because as a type of PMO, it looks like that everyone should go in that direction, but it's not exactly like that, especially because aspects related to maturity, right? So we try at PMO Global Alliance to create solutions that can make sense for everyone. And we know that there are many, many, many companies, maybe most of them, that they are still in a moment in terms of culture and maturity that it's supposed that their executives could be involved and concerned about many, many strategic aspects, but sometimes because of a lack of maturity, they can't see the value of these things. So you have two ways. You can say, okay, I'm going to push a VMO or something more strategic, and they will not see the value because of a lack of maturity, right? Or you can say, okay, so let's try to make it fit in terms of what they need today, maybe more tactical and operational pains, right? But let's seed for the future, because as they mature, this more sophisticated pains will arise. And many things that are defended on VMOs and strategic management office, they will start to make sense. They will be the medicines that can be used to heal that specific pains. You know what I mean? So that's how we try to work. As I said, every type of PMO can be useful, very useful, but not to be followed, but to inspire you on creating your all PMO. So I can take something from the VMO if it makes sense. I can take something from the strategic management office. I can take something from the center of excellence approach, because each one is a different perspective of this complex phenomenon named PMO. So they are correct, but in that specific perspective. So the question is, how much are the chances that you are exactly in that same perspective that is being presented to you? So probably you have different needs, you have different customers, so that's we need to adapt. So that's what we try to do, right? What else? Yeah, good idea, Gaurav. Being agile is more important than just doing agile. I understand your point. Yeah, I think it makes sense, right? What else? Let me see. Uh, mm, okay, Gaurav asked about XMO. See, actually, that recent uh, report from PMI and PwC brought the idea of an XMO. For the first time, instead of providing the best type of PMO, because there will be always something new, right? Today is the VMO. Tomorrow it will be the AI PMO and the tantric PMO. Every day someone will create something new that can make sense depending on the perspective that you have in terms of needs, right? The point is, with the idea of XMO, actually PMI said something that we have been saying the last 6 years. It doesn't matter what type PMO you have, right? You should have a PMO that makes sense to you. And this X, instead of a type, it's like a variable, right? So it can be anything, right? And I totally agree with that. That's exactly what we defend. It doesn't matter. The name of your PMO doesn't matter, right? So this is the point. And look, the VMO, this is something interesting. I saw a few weeks ago, I was in another conference in Latin America, and there was a guy that was presenting his PMO, and he said, "Okay, now we have a project that will move from a PMO to a VMO, right?" And this is something interesting, because it looks like evolution, but in fact, evolution, when we talk about PMOs, it depends on two aspects. It depends on alignment with needs and the maturity of what you are doing. So when we consider when you talk about evolution and we are jumping from one type to the next type, it's something that if you really look close, maybe it's not exactly an evolution. Evolution in terms of a better perception of value, right? Because, okay, you are changing the medicines, but if you are changing the medicines and you are now giving to your patient, your customer, medicines for pains that they don't have, or if they have, they can't feel that because of lack of maturity, actually, the perception of value about your PMO will be reduced. And there is something interesting, because when we say, okay, I'm going to move to this model, to that model, to a value management office, that there are many great things, especially for mature companies. In fact, there is a discussion that comes behind, that, and that's exactly come before that, and that's exactly what we try to insist in this approach. It's all about your customer. So when you say that now you'll be a value management office, my question is, okay, what did you do in the last years that you were not concerned about generating value, right? So now it became important. Now, only now you saw that. So it looks a very easy way to give a response for something that is much more complex. But anyway, centricity on the customer and understand them and provide ways to solve their challenges and problems and pains is the best way to be perceived as something of value. It's very clear, right? Actually, almost intuitive, right? In many different ways. But it's nice. It's a very interesting discussion. I think of PMOs as like having CMM and TKM levels of maturity. I know that to build a PMO, the same steps of teams coming together apply: forming, storming, norming, performing, and I forgot the last one. I agree. I agree. Yeah, yeah. Actually, this is exactly the point. It's about planning, executing, controlling, and improving, right? The point is, when you believe that is the best way of doing PMOs, in a certain way, you will stop this, because your planning is not about planning something that fit. It's planning something that is aligned with that idea that is the ideal model, right? You are not improving anymore, because that idea of model is the best one. So unless there is something new being released, this is the way. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it happens all the time, but what I see many, many times is we have a lot of people, a lot of leaders, and also executives that, because of a lack of time, because of a lack of maturity, they cannot think too much about these ideas that we are discussing here. And they just look for magic solutions, right? They look easier, okay? And usually people that sell them know how to sell them, right? That's their life. So it's very easy to believe that, okay, this is the way, right? And when you do that, again, you are not considering what you really are, what your company really needs, what your customers really wish in terms of of results from this partnership, right? Jackie, yes, I answer, I think. Got off question. Let me see, we are close to the end. Tamin, I strongly agree with what has been said, that the Agile is more into mindset, absolutely. Porfirio, yes, Porfirio, thank you very much. Hello, Wala, nice to see you again. Very good, my friend. So that's it. I invite you to read that article, and I would love to receive your feedback. And when I say feedback, it can be criticism, it can be questions. I don't agree. No worries, because exactly that's how we improve what we are doing. So if there is something that I'm really proud of, is the fact that the PMO value ring in the last years, we always receive some ideas and feedback, but I've never found anyone that said, "Oh no, it doesn't make sense," right? Never, to be very honest. And I feel really proud of it because it came from the experience of people, right? Not from my mind. So that's why I believe it's so strong. So what I'm sharing with you is the result of many different perspectives, those people that participate in this work. So I'm voicing them. And finally, I was convinced by them, right, that these ideas really make sense, right? I really like it. And that's why this is the time of launching the book, the new framework, because now it looks like we can improve it, but there is nothing that we can say, "Oh no, it doesn't make any sense." Absolutely. I really don't believe on that, but I challenge you, right? So if you can share with me ideas, feedback, it will be very, very, very useful. I will be happy to count on you on that, right? Okay, let me see what else. Okay, this is all. Okay, my friends, thank you very much for coming, right? I hope we can meet again very soon. I will be, let me see, I will be in September. I will be in Dominican Republic and Sevilla for the IPMA World Conference. I will be speaking these two conferences in October. I have a master class at PMI Global Summit in Atlanta, right? What else? Let me see. And December we have Paris. We always have Paris, right? Our conference. It will be amazing. So if you have a chance to be there, I'm sure that you will appreciate it. And again, feel free to keep in touch anytime you need, right? It will be always a pleasure. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.